Good evening all. That's good, all seems to be working. Different streaming setup this evening, so just keeping an eye on things. Back to quieter time. A lot happening on my over later. This evening I've got Mike G0MJW, if you can be ready to go first please Mike, Richard GI4DOH, Bernie G4HJW, James G0DQH, Noel GHTZ, and Rob M0DTS, and John G7JTT. So that is the order. With G4KLB on the end. Straight run to Mike G0MJW and the BATC Net GHEKQ.
1, 2, 3. Hi all, so I wasn't sure whether Mike had started transmitting again there, so I dropped out, and also the usual panic. It's the first time that I've transmitted on C tonight. Everything seems to be okay there. In all to all that are there. It's nice to be back again. I've played around with a few things since last time. I've changed the light looking at me. I don't know if it's made much difference. I still need a haircut. I think I'm transmitting sound still. Yep, seem to be. I got these goodies in the post today from BATC. Like so many other people on Saturday, watching the cat being streamed, I ordered the bits and pieces with a view to making a Ryde receiver. Sitting here, two of the breakout boards while I was at it, because they're useful for other things that you might be doing with a Raspberry Pi that are not necessarily DATV related. I think last week I messed up when I was trying to show slides of my Nokia amplifier, which is in a box. I think I've got sound with it this time. I hadn't realised, because I never tried listening to myself while I was setting up the slides. It hadn't occurred to me that I do need, with OBS, to include Nokia, which is much easier to remove than the one in the other board, which I also have at the moment. And it was so big, in fact, I shouldn't have attempted to remove the circulator. I ended up using a Dremel, an awful lot of brute force, and I didn't have changes to this board. Snowflaking around the driver input, and also I removed the circulator between the pre-driver and the driver. There were conflicting things on the MCL reflector, which had some comments about PA do you use to remove this. One Dutch guy's call, I can't remember, categorically stated that he wouldn't remove that again if he were doing another board. So I removed mine, and I don't honestly think it made any difference one way or the other. So don't think at any losses on account of that. And then the issue with the 10 ohm resistors in the bias change, I've had trouble with these. I've ended up using 33 ohm resistors. A 10 ohm resistor with a 28 volt line on switch on is going to have a surge of more than 2 amps, which is asking a lot of say. It's outside the design spec of most 0402 resistors, so 33 doesn't seem to have any effect on the output of the actual bias voltage, and seems to get round the unreliability of the surge on switch on. Nokia obviously had a slow ramping up circuit, and trying to optimize the board to make things easy and more to just not have to intervene for transmit and receive. The standard works for me. I did a little circuit. It's on the board there, the printed circuit board, top left. Was a homemade thing. I think I put details of that on the UK microwave reflector last week when somebody asked about the amplifier. Bottom left, an AD RF measurement board, supposedly taking the RF sensing output from the amplifier A little bit of trouble with that. I have ordered a template box to save screening. It helps. I think it's asking a bit much in a box with all that RF. And basically that's it. There's not much to it other than the amplifier itself. So that's what I've been busy with since the last time we all spoke, and that's enough for me. So pass it on to Bernie. G4HJW, over to you, Bernie.
Yeah, okay, Richard, thank you for that, and interesting to see what we've been doing, not too dissimilar what I've done, I guess. I had very little modification that I needed to do for the PAs I had, but I've got a couple of isolators that I've used. I have some that are near enough at driver level that they're 2.2 I think, and they're not spot on 2.4, but they give me 10 dB of isolation, and again, oh, you might want it's a bit better. But one of them I did do what I did break up a magnet and just attach that, and I managed to get it to retune just by changing the field strength. I got that to go straight up to 2.4, but it's messy, and gluing it on, it took me ages, and then you don't know whether it's going to stick on, so I don't know that was worthwhile. Anyway, Jim, sorry you're not coming on tonight. I have spoken to G3KKD during the week. Ian, who everybody on here I suppose will know. So on 2 meters of all places, and it struggled, so I don't know why that was just, that worked. When was that, yesterday or the day before? He was having some trouble, I know, with the new transceiver, but he's making progress, and I think we'll get Ian on here, maybe not this year. It's not the right weather really for going out and doing a lot of work, but he knows where he's going. So he can do minor stuff, well, major stuff in the shack, ready, as he called it, a bunny hutch to put the power amplifier in at the bottom of the garden. He has a 100-metre run. I didn't realise the garden was as big as that. So hopefully we'll see it in too long. I've ordered, or I suspect a Chinese. It only cost me £6 or £7, so I'm sure you're all going to say they don't work, but that's such a low price. Well, I want to use my, I've got it here, I've got a lovely well, it's a security camera. I wonder if that's, let's have a look. And I really would like to use that. The picture is really superb on that. I need to do a bit more than I'm able to do at the moment. Project wise, since the camera is a long way away and it's not going to show everything I have that I can show, I'll just so that's I wanted to have a go at a 77's slot antenna, because the ones I've been doing for 2.4 and 3.4 just haven't been working very well, and I found you could get, oh no, let's have a look at, that's just a bit of weather in the top, but looking at that end, which is open, you can see it's fairly thin walled aluminium tubing. That was quite cheap. Oh, and that was the length, is what is that, a metre? That, which brass wasn't. I wasn't going to make it out of brass, and it's worked okay. So all I need now is a beacon to yes, a beacon to put it on. And I'm not doing very well with beacons. The last 2 beacons I've been involved with Ofcom were okay, but the MOD told me where to go on both occasions, but obviously they don't tell you there's a problem. I think that'll do me for this over, so who's it go on to? G0DQH. I will try and make sure I do DK. I'm sure
Okay, G0DQH to the picture. Yeah, I'm having a few problems this evening with receive. It's probably not only the weather, but I've noticed over the last couple of weeks the signals gradually got less and less. So I think the dish has just moved very slightly in the probably the ground. It's probably got quite soggy down the bottom of the garden. So I've got to do that sometime and make that a priority. I'm getting the bits together incidentally for HD, for H.265. I've got the encoder box on the Pluto and the software's been loaded in. It's just waiting for some more bits to arrive. The changeover relay, solid state changeover relay, and a couple of other bits. So there you go. Short and sweet from me tonight, I'm afraid. And I am having problems receiving most people, but if they're strong enough, it's okay. Provided they're over 3 dB MER, I'll be okay. Okay, G0DQH, next one.
hopefully we should be a bit more reliable transmission this week. I hope, anyway. Just double check I have audio. Yep, we're good. Amazing. Right, there we go. Right, yep, evening all. I'm just trying to avoid squashing the dog's feet here. She's just down by the side of my chair. Keep out the way. So, what have we been doing the last week? Don't know. Well, yeah, I've played around with Ryde a little bit. On KM. Quite a good, basically good test signals. Signals coming and going and things like that, changing the screen modes and all that sort of stuff. So it's been quite useful actually, doing that. Still, unfortunately, stable. I don't know why yet. I don't know whether it's just my configuration here, power. I'm not really sure, but it seemed to run for a while and all of a sudden we stop. The main one is usually long min stopped working. Seems to drop the USB port for some reason, but I haven't really got to the bottom of that yet. I've been playing around with these encoder boxes a little. Found that, I don't know whether you want to make them. If you have an encoder box with version 1.96, well, maybe other versions as well, the line input on the, it's got two connections. Because we use one of these for KM, so that I got about a year. Basically, depends on the firmware to whether you get a box that can encode stereo from the line in, just in case anyone wants to do that. Haven't found a fix yet. Traced it all the way through on the tracks on the inside, and it seems just genuinely just firmware. The older one gets hotter than the new one. The new firmware, you can touch the top and it barely gets warm. The old 1.6 firmware, the unit gets quite a bit hotter. So there we go. Maybe they just turned an audio channel off to keep it cool. I don't know. What else? Yeah, mainly just playing around with KM and coding stuff on there. So that's pretty much, I think. Jim, I saw Mike's try. He's running on the top channel. Right, we'll pass it round to Noel now if he is ready. Let's see, yeah, okay, round to you. G8 GTZ M0DT.
Yeah, not much gone on here for obvious reasons. Kind of got Monday, Sunday and Monday was really the Jiffy bags had arrived, so posted about 55 parcels. So there you go. But what I was doing before CAT was some other type of radio. I don't think I was sharing the video because I didn't have capability. So weeks ago with the Australian 122 gig gear, and we worked 17 kilometres on it, and got a quick video of it, which you may or may not find interesting. So that was a pretty weak signal on 2 gigs over about 17 kilometres. Low audio, sorry. Okay, should have turned it up a bit. Interestingly, that I noticed the waterfall didn't work particularly well either for obvious reasons. So perhaps that wasn't the best video to show. But talking of weak signals, I mentioned earlier on here, I was working Rob. I think we need to go back to having some calibration numbers for the beacon. If you remember when Oscar 100 first started, a year and a half ago, would you believe? We all posted MERs we were getting on the beacon, depending on what size dish we've got. And I think we've kind of lost that, so nobody really knows if their dishes are aligned or not, such as Jim tonight. He doesn't really quite know where he's aiming, so I think I'll start a post for him, and if anybody who's watching could with beacon, and it really ought to be when the transponder is empty or pretty much empty. Yeah, don't put it on here, Adrian. I'll never collect it, so let's have it on the forum. And gives room, doesn't it? I've seen than 10.5 mic, so we saw the old beacon. Mic bragging rights. So yes, I'll start a post. I'll start a post on the forum, and if we can all just pop it up there along with your dish size, I think it would be useful. And then we'll put it across on the wiki. Okay, now from me, not going to be too long tonight. Third part of the Trump show is on at 9 o'clock. So just right. Who does it go to? Right, G7JTT.
Go. Let's just switch it off.
And back ignition. And we have
because I anyway, unplugged it all.
Right, okay then, thanks a lot. Well, this is a bit of deja vu, isn't it, really? So, it's simpler just to use a standard port stand, I've decided. That's what I'm using. So, so that's all right. Did you see that chair go then? Nearly fell through the floor. But there we are. Oh, I've still got JTT on my ride. How interesting. Maybe it's I'm blocking it out. I've come across that before. Since I've got back from work, I've updated my ride. Obviously, how could I not? To the development version. That's working very well indeed. I've discussed various things with Tim on GB3SQ. He was kind enough to appear on there, so that's very good. So yeah, working a treat actually. But there we are. There we are. Minitune's got me. That's working very well. It's actually quite nice to see it on a slightly larger screen. Actually, I'm using the CBBS output because that's what SQ uses. So I'm doing the testing on that. I assume everybody else will be testing on HDMI, which does give a better picture. but there we are. But pretty good on this. I'm really pleased with it. So I'm monitoring my 1249 signals since I got in, but as I had a few moments in hand, I've just put an aerial lead into it so, from the dish, and it's been working fine. Been working fine on there. So I sort of got both up. I haven't got any audio on it because I should emergency testing. My monitor has got a limited audio capability. It's only got one audio channel for some reason, and so that's on the other input at the moment. So there we are. Yeah, not so much to add. I've been very busy since I got back from work doing various bits. Showed on SQ earlier. Multiple projects on the go. I obviously shelved a few. Well, didn't shelve them. I postponed them with the upcoming Cat 20 as it was then. Very good to see the videos on the BATC YouTube, by the way. Obviously I had a look at mine to see how it came. Really be sure. I think a tip there is actually going from one of the other presentations is I should have not had the audio on automatic, because I think what happened is because I wasn't speaking for some time, it actually wound the audio up and mine was a little bit too loud, even though OBS video was right. But wound it, set various things, I think, for any future activity. So I've got to give a talk to the Pool Radio Society fairly soon. Not sure when yet, but hopefully we'll get a few extras on board there for the local repeat. Anyway, there's at least one that seems very good. Right, okay, that'll probably do me. But spend too long. I'm used to talking about an hour at a time. It's difficult to slow down. But yeah, it's actually, I noticed it's actually not too bad a picture on there actually. I'm hoping to improve my picture. I want the signal to go through OBS really, so I can add a few extras and different camera shots and things. It's a little bit restrictive just using this camera because I can't really show without it all falling apart. Here's my Ryde, and you can see for some reason it's stopped on John's John's transmission, but it's actually a pretty good picture actually. Not that a CRT screen really photographs all that well. There we are. Okay, that's who's it off to, and let's have a look. G4NKV, excellent. Over to you.
Well, hello to everybody. Nick, G4NKV. The first time I've been. I've watched it once before, a couple of weeks ago, and hope you're getting me right. I'm not particularly happy with this. I've got a poor rate on the video, as I think everybody can probably see. What I'm using at the moment is the Ports Down Line Mini. I have to confess I am well out of date. The operating system is stretched 2 years ago. I've had and only just got back onto looking at the TV side, so I do hope to update it. It's a small Spectrum 20 watt amplifier I'm using, a 1.8 metre dish out in the guard there, and as I say, I've tested it a couple of times. It's not been switched on for tested it a few times last week, and it seemed but not particularly good frame rate, and I'd like to improve on that. I have got a bigger amplifier out there. It's almost ready for testing on the satellite. I've tested it in the shack here and managed to get 120 anywhere near that, but I've had a bit of problem getting dish aligned on receive. I use a separate dish. It's a 1 metre dish, and only the other week I was up the ladder outside the house. We had the Velux window open, and I was shouting instructions through to Sue inside, watching the display and telling me which way to turn the dish to get the best signal. So we've been doing that. Currently at 8.5 MER. So that's what we've been up to here. I think the last time I did any real DATV was when I worked with Rob when he was up on the moors. That was a while ago, wasn't it, Rob, when you were up there? And on 2 metres managed to get KM. But I mean, we're going back probably nearly 2 years since we've done that. But, looking forward to retirement soon, so I'm hoping to get on this satellite. But one of the things I do want to improve is obviously this poor frame rate. I'm using an EasyCap dongle, and I'm just using a DVC camcorder as the camera here. So I don't know who's to pass it. Right, whoever's next.
Okay, G4NKV and the group GKQ. Sorry, I've got some audio howl around. I'm just frantically trying to get rid of. Right, good to see pictures from you, Nick. Yeah, your Portstown is showing its age. I would suggest you rebuild the SD card with the latest buster, and it will look better, and you'll get rid of some of the popping and jumping you've got. That's quite an old version. Problem with the Ryde to be possibly only the development version, and there was an overlap between the two transmissions, and it didn't spot it. So I think that was the issue, Tim. But we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's just keep the power up for everybody. John Jetson Woes, yeah. There are instructions in the latest CQTV, the default one, but of course that's not a lot of help for you. Beacon, I will reply on that one, Noel. Yeah, a very good idea. Thank you for initiating that. And I would like to contradict you with saying you haven't done much with doing all the videos, posting out 50 odd orders. I think you've done a hell of a lot. So version of Longmind, which did stop working every now and then. If you do a development up or a fresh load from my development, or in fact you do a production load, is probably the best at the moment, since we've seen problems with the development load this evening. A Longmind that has a bug fix for that. Good to hear Ian G3KKD is on his way to getting on the air. I know he's getting a Portstown 4 together there. And Richard, good to see your PA. Well, what have I been up to? Well, boring old test card F there, but I mentioned during CAT 20 that there was a problem with getting comp video out of 4. Well, this is a system which will eventually run on a Pi 0. It's running on a Pi 3 at the moment. It's running on this Pi 3 here, on top of, which is sat on top of my Ryde receiver. and it's just a simple video source, so you can change the test card by doing pressing that. There's not a lot of change there except the call sign's disappeared, and by switching across that switch, which switches on the Pi camera that's on the top there, and switch back to test card. So that's being put together so that we can use a Pi Zero as a video source. Some vintage radios there, that is for sure. 1000, they all work though. The other thing I've been working on, it's a diecast box. In the diecast box is an ADF 5355, and you can connect it to a ports down, and it's a SIG gen up to 13 gigs, something like that. So working on that, it's going to have a GPS on the top of it, and a PIC inside so that it will run autonomously and give a marker on 10368.1 GPS locked or 24048.1. So it's just an autonomous marker for microwaves. So that's what I've been up to here. Oh, and putting out new releases of Ryde, of course. So let's put it back round to Mike. If he's sorted his Windows update now. G0MJW.
Right, try again. Sorry, I came up on the wrong frequency. On the wrong frequency. Right. Although I'm not convinced. There seems to be some sort of problem with... sorry, I came up on the wrong frequency. Right, with the box and everybody's new firmware. Whether it's actually showing a live picture or a picture that's frozen or what, I don't know. But I think it's probably a good idea not to load his if you're using the H.265 box, because the problem appears to be. But we will see. I can just see it freezing here in terms of video. Yeah. I can't actually see any moving pictures. The kick, it restarts itself. I can't. I was going to show a few things, but I don't think I'll bother. Maybe next time. I don't know if this is even going to change the screen. No, it doesn't look like it. Maybe next time. I've still got video. I've still got audio, but I haven't got any moving video. Oh, it's okay. It's good for you, is it, Dave? It's just not good for me. Okay. That's interesting. The audio is from a new microphone. That was one thing I was going to talk about. USB microphones under Windows. They seem to have incredibly low gain, and I don't know why. But yeah, that seems to be a problem, and it seems to be a Windows problem with drivers, because it works fine in Windows 7, works fine in Linux, doesn't work in Windows 10. It's always very quiet. Yeah, in my case on Scan and Tune, not Scan and Tune, sorry, that I'm using, and that was what the desktop picture was. You can see that's an old picture, if you can see that. If I go to the C920, this is what I was going to show you. No, there's no mic boost option, Rob, that's the problem. If you go to the C920 picture, this is the and It's in a Vortex star box. Seems to be a reasonable thing. Oops, is that? Yeah, it's a bit better. So you can put it in any case you like, really, but in my case it's that one, and it seems to be okay. Right, let's go back to the picture, which may or may not be moving. So let's do something about the video next time, and I think I'll probably just go back to the old software, the old firmware, because that worked and that was reliable, and it was used for uploading the Cat20, and it ran faultless about 6 hours. This new version doesn't seem to be able to run faultlessly for 6 minutes, so yeah, it just needs some changes, I think, and some debugging. Right, 7-3 everybody, and sorry for all the problems earlier on.
Again. Yes. Right, thanks for that, Mike. Mike, about the mic, I had problems with this headphone mic last week, and I ended up going in the properties, the advanced properties under the Microsoft thing, and under custom there is, and checking that box, therefore supposedly applying AGC, the volume suddenly shot up, and I wonder if that's the problem that you have there. It's not intuitive. You sort of think that you would start off without the AGC before you try out the AGC to any use or not. Yeah, there also, I think on Saturday I mentioned that I had just received one of these cameras, additional studio lighting there as a result of the cat thing. £5.99 on eBay, and if I knew what it's, I think, more than adequate for this sort of thing. It does have a separate microphone lead. I don't know why the audio couldn't go down the USB cable, but I liked it so much I ordered a second one, and that arrived today. So it's coming from the UK. I just can't help going back to the other cameras, to OBS and everything, and I will be adding another powered USB hub. I'm sort of running out of USB sockets in the immediate vicinity here. This particular PC I used to use pan adapters and all the rest, so but the powered USB hub means that I'll not be loading the USB sockets on the PC, and also I'll be able to get at it as opposed to having to try and get in behind the PC. So I'll be busy enough with the Ryde now that I've got the bits, and start finding out what else I need and start stringing that together. Although I don't work for a living, I am editor of the club magazine, and that takes the best part of the month. But that went out today, so a few days before I start this one. Threes, take care, keep safe, and next week and increase by a dB or two, but I'm only taking 10 amps from the 28 volt power supply here into a 1.2 meter dish, down about 15 meters of AVA 550, F450A terminating either end. Was the best at the time, and the wife didn't seem to notice. So 7.3s, and talk to you all then. And sorry, I think Bernie G4HJW next. Cheers all.
Because I can't see myself on the other screen. Yep, that's it, it's come up. And a lot of what's been said tonight has really gone past me, because, as I said at the talk a couple of years ago, I don't know great familiar with a lot of stuff we're using on TV, so I just sit here with a faint smile on. What my mum used to do years ago, and I can do that, especially on a long train journey, and if there's enough coffee coming up and down the aisle, I'm very happy with that. So there'll be a lot of things I don't comment on. Ian KKD, yeah, Arthur's given, sent him, I think it's a 40 watt. We've got spare amplifiers here, but so that was good of Arthur, and yeah, he'll be on, but he doesn't want to be going out at this sort of temperature. So if which is good in a way, it means the bits he is doing, he can spend his time making of. So I thought DQH had gone, so I'll do that. There was another comment, what was that? Oh yes, the soft focus mic. Well, if you could see the state of the shirt, I mean, I've got a very cheap webcam as well, so you're not going to see all the marks that are on here. And all the glorious silver hair, not in detail anyway. Something else out. Quite a few, but I see the first one was actually 3.4. It's a while since I've looked at them, but I've got boxes of them here, and I really ought to make some of them useful. This one is what? 3490 to 3590. Doesn't need a lot of moving, but I found on the 1.8 and 2 gig ones, which might be one of them, they almost moved up to 2.4, but not quite. So I had to whip the elements out. No, it'd be that one, I think. I had to take the elements out and just machine off, put them in the lathe and machine off a millimetre or so, and then they were fine. So I mean, I'm really pleased about that. And it does transfer to. I mean, these filters are set up. I can use 40 or 50 dB down on the image, which is pretty impressive, really. But I will get round to just using the Pluto on its own at some point. Oh, am I? Sorry about that. Yeah, my apologies. I didn't get round to moving the caption card off. You don't really look at me anyway. Well, I'll just wave these at you very quickly. I mean, you're not going to see much on that camera. This is the problem with the soft focus, but that was a 3.4 gig one, which I think I have tuned up on where we want it, and they tuned up okay. and that'll be here by next week hopefully, so I should be able to show all of this stuff in more so that it's actually worth seeing, whereas at the minute I realise it's not. Okay, I'm rambling, so I don't think there's anything on there other than the caption. Yeah, Dave, I do this. There's a lot of things. I'm not one for being able to do half a dozen things at once. One thing at once is enough, but I've almost got the hang of coming up on here, but you certainly have to keep on your toes. So on to you, Noel. You might make a bit more sense than I'm doing. G8, I know the call sign really.
Okay, alright, well, jolly good. Good to hear everybody on. And the only thing before I go and watch about my friend Donald, just thought I'd show everybody that. Which Mike has designed, and has got room for the pie, which is what the hole in the middle is for, and a couple of nims. So that's the thing you'll all be going mad for when the software is complete. Right, I've got a mine looks that. Right, I'm going to call it a day. 73's everybody. Thanks for the chat, and we'll.
Why, it was sharp going off. One. Yeah. Right, where are we at? The mic picks up the mouse clicking quite well, doesn't it? It's click, 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 click. I mean, clicking OBS and this, that, and the other. Yeah. Yeah, mics and Microsoft Live Chat one, that does have the AGC on it, and it makes quite a big difference, as Richard says there. Yeah, the only thing I was going to show, the only other thing I've done with the encoder box is, let me just add a picture in here. Capture, window. Where's it at? Desktop, display, there. Right, if I go, where are we at? There we go. Where the little yellow plug is that comes in on the back. The interesting feature that it does have, so these two, oh, you can't see my mouse, oh, you can see my mouse on there. So these two tracks down the middle that come down, that's your left and right audio input tracks. They are biased up by 2 volts going out to the socket. So the 2 volts bias goes out to the socket on the left and the right channel. Now my guess on this is that it's meant to be some sort of powered microphone input or something electric or whatever. 2 volts seems low, but would work. So anyway, basically there was, I think there was a 2K resistor there and there, so I've removed them, and then for the input, which is this route here and this route here, I've added a 22k and then a 470 ohm to ground, and that brings it roughly to line level, so you can put like 1 volt, half to 1 volt peak to peak in there, and you get a decent level coming down into the actual encoder box itself. Line level into them, they're too much. 2 volts on both channels. It doesn't seem to bias up the actual chip, which I wondered whether it biased up the ADC or something. But there's blocking capacitors in series with these 2 tracks. So anyway, thought I'd share that one. It was quite interesting. So, because I thought it was some sort of filtering at first on the audio input. So there we are. Yeah, I think I've got the latest long min on, Dave. I believe so. It's basically the long min off your Ryde build thing. The only difference was I was just using the OS from Tim to put the OSD on when I was playing around on Sunday. So unless you've got maybe, yeah, I might have missed that. I'll double check anyway. I'll just do the dev script and see what happens. Okay, well, I think that is it for now. I can't think of anything else. No. On to you, John. G7JTT M0DTS. Trying to get the right test card. I'll give you a brief view from the back of the shack. You can see cables everywhere. I know it's not as bad as a certain person, but we're getting there. Certainly not wireless. But there we are. Right, 7.3 M0DTS.
All right, we'll go. Okay then. We'll go round this way. Right, okay then. Yeah, I haven't got that much more to show. I was a little bit late to bed last night. I had one of these Pro Micro. They are micro too. Little tiny thing. So I thought this is for the mouse emulator for a Langston. I fancied it was a good. Really nothing, so I'd have a go. I've successfully got the thing loaded up. I'll have to probably do it again because I don't know how many steps. The way I'm showing it is I'm on the lookout for whatever encoders are about. I don't know which one was actually used on the prototype, but we had a few suggestions on SQ when I showed it, but we're after something that's sort of half reasonable, but doesn't cost the earth, so to speak. We don't mind a few quid, but some of the ones I've searched for are almighty expensive, a little bit overkill, and some of them are rather large. So I'll have to see. So that's just ready, waiting. So we got that bit done. That's all right. That went without too much drama. It took me a little bit longer than I thought, but there we are. I've been playing with these capture devices, mainly for an input to OBS. I haven't managed to get audio out of them just yet. I wasn't going to mess too much with it because I've got my OBS settings connection, so I didn't want to I didn't want to risk too much really. But also in the post came one of these, which is well, I prefer a little flying lead actually, which is yet another type that I saw and was posted on some. When it came today, I haven't had the chance because I had one or two projects to get on with as soon as I came in from work. But so they're just inputs for OBS for different cameras and things. That's the primary function, not necessarily for inputs to rides and things. Because I think I'm trying to get a bit Pluto a bit more. So we've done a bit of work to that to sort of stabilise it. I did have everything running quite nicely at one point, and then I formatted the computer, which was a bit of a bad move. I'm still recovering from that, really. so there we are. Anyway, well, I keep trying to have a go, but I keep that's the trouble. So anyway, we'll progress with that. I'm quite pleased to find some actual input for cameras. This one I really like. It gives a very, very good picture from my camcorder. I usually use this little Panasonic for most things. It's getting a bit long in the tooth now, but it does have HDMI output, and I did use it, and it works very well. But it would be convenient then recordings from the camcorder over the air. This one, the audio does come up on OBS, but there's nothing there. So I haven't given up on that one, but I just saw this one. These things are so cheap. There are obviously known good ones for this activity, but they're more than 10 times more expensive. I mean, if we have to go there, we have to go there, but we don't mind saving a few quid. But I say the picture's been brilliant, so even if I don't get the audio working, which I probably will, but it's still well worth it as a HDMI input, because I've actually got two of these cameras. I found another one on eBay. I've been searching for the last 5 one to come up at the right price, and it finally did. I had this mad idea of buying a proper camera, but I soon lost interest when I saw the price. So that was that, really. Oh dear. Known and good and known. Yes, they are. Yeah, that's right. One has been tested by again, I'm not sure. Came across this type, and Amazon, etc., for one exactly the same, and there are several that look the same, almost. A lot of them have the little registered. I don't know if that's actually what it says. It's probably not, but over the HDMI. So I tried to pick one the same that someone else. Nothing like at all inside, but there we are. Anyway, okay then, that's it. 7 trees for now, and catch you all next time. Let me think. Yeah, I should hopefully be on next week as well. So we'll see if we go any further. So right to JTT, we're keeping him up really, aren't we? Over to you, John.
Right, hopefully this thing doesn't crash again. Hopefully I've got I've got some an issue where I've got too many headphones to wear within the shack, So you can't wear one pair and listen to one thing and have another pair for another thing. What I've gone and done is got some, this one's listening to the computer. I've actually got some Bluetooth earpieces, which is connected to the Jetson. So I've got those going into my ears to listen to the Jetson, the long mid. These go over the top to allow me to listen to the computer. Anyway, that's that. The audio issue. One of the things that this thing says about is the voltage. So how you actually adjust that, I've no idea, because of course set to 5 gain. And then there. So that's the 0 point, which is quite low. So you can do it if necessary. Anyway, let's get out of that. Not one there. Right, there we go. Yeah, it's a fairly nice micro. It's worked very well on Linux, but Linux you've got a boost on it. So only on my to myself now. How people do it if they have to have a conversation themselves and the other side. It can't do that. But okay. Oh, yours is set. All right. Put around to NKV. ATT. Let's card up this. Break it.
To try and find myself. Oh, it looks like my Windows system's crashed here. Oh. Anyway, I'll get them off. Yes, something to me. I've been looking actually to try and find a webcam to use with this, and everybody seems to use this C920. The prices I find at the moment are quite a lot, aren't they? £120 if you can find one. So I think I'll probably have a look at eBay and see if I can find one of these cheaper webcams. OBS Studio last week. Not got much of a hand of it at the moment. It must have taken me nearly an hour to get the microphone working on it. but I think I'm going to need it. I'm quite impressed with some of the results I see on here from others using the studio. It gives more of an professional look to the transmitter, doesn't it? So that's something I want to have. No reply to me last time. The mute didn't work, the unmute, and I know you said Buster, so I'm assuming you're suggesting I go to the Pi 4. But actually I've got two Pi 4s. One of them I'm planning on using for the Ryde, and the other one was a spare, but I think I'm going to be upgrading the ports down to Pi 4. I take it the Lime Mini I've got, I'll be okay with it. But also I've got the 8-way switches, the RF switch and the band switch. So I think that's something I'll look at then, upgrading to Pi 4 and Buster. And my frame rate somewhat. Although I must not admit I'm impressed with that new board I've just seen there for the all-in-one version. It's very impressive. I have tried working out how to design PCBs myself. I've been using KiCad and take next. So 73, and nice to meet you all for the first time on.
Not the best picture in the world, but that is the inside of the die-cast box with the ADF 5355. The 5355 board is here. Yeah. Power supply for it is there. This will be input down the bottom, external reference selector switch, and on the front here at the hole that isn't yet populated will be the frequency switch. While I've got the camera over here, yeah, I had to put a hand over to stabilise it. I'm not sure what went wrong with that. We'll just have a quick look at the comp video generator. This is an old comp I've got there, and you'll see that's just test card F without a caption on. Press one of the button, press the button on it, and it moves into test card F with a caption on. I suppose the other thing I haven't shown to those on the stream is the new version of Ryde. Will work on. Past my ports down, which is actually doing the transmitting. Oh yeah, and there's a TV up there, and that's the TV I'm watching the net on. Yeah, I can't zoom on it, but if I turn service, the D number. And these two here are what the service is: DVB-S2, QPSK 2/3, and the PIDs, and whether it's H.265 or MPEG-2. So that's the new version of Ryde. And So that's what we've been up to there. HDMI capture devices, I had a look at them, seem to be millions of them around, some USB 2 and some USB 3, and I think it's another easy sketch all over again. For Nick, you can do ports. Fine with all your old hardware, it'll work just the same. And the only other thing to say before I close the net tonight is the streaming tonight has come from the same receiver as has been doing the receiving. So it's the one doing the receive and through an LKV and back in the network port. Right, I think that is it. So thank you all for coming up on the net, interesting as usual. And I will now close the net. I might even turn this round. Yeah, I'm going to be a bit big. BATC Net, and look forward to seeing you all next week. G8